Welcome back, everybody. This is QuestionMarc, and I am back with my roommate again here to do another tier list of the new commanders that have been spoiled, in this case for Mystery Booster 3 Commander Edition, which has been a completely surprise set that just came out of nowhere early August.
Yeah, still super excited, though.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is a set that is designed specifically for Commander. It will not be standard legal. It is currently only going to be available at conventions, and also I believe they said there's going to be a convention in a box available online later this year. And so it will be difficult to acquire a lot of these cards, and people are a little upset about that. But I hear that actually they pulled the development budget from the convention event budget. Like the budget that they use to advertise and to come up with prizes and things for convention events. So that's actually the reason why it's not being distributed as a store release, is because it was not pulled from the, normal development funds.
Oh,
so
pretty good advertising. I mean,
yeah.
Most of the time there's new cards spoiled, and one of us will see it and mention to the other, and it's yep, I saw a couple. No, I haven't seen that batch yet.
Oh yeah.
And maybe one or something is interesting. These were, popping up, and you in the middle of a Commander game Sunday. Look at the next one. I don't care about the move. Yes, you're winning, whatever. But look at this card. You have to look at this now.
Yeah, Gavin Verhey showed up at a convention, and he had half of the members that were going to be in that limited event pre-selected from among, content creators that already do Magic content, streamers, TikTok people and stuff like that. And then half of them were handed out to random people on the day. And then that was all happening, Sunday, I guess, of this last week. So, at the time of recording, the Hobbit set has not come out yet. We just finished recording a tier list for it. I also just finished publishing all the Marvel superhero stuff because there was 360 dang commanders in that. And now, before the Hobbit set has even come out, before even pre-release, we have a whole nother set of 60 commanders to go over. And these rankings should be fairly self-explanatory, but real quick, lame, these cards probably don't deserve a place in your Commander deck. Better in the 99, they could deserve a place in your Commander deck, but probably not the Commander. That's really not what they're particularly good at. Questionable are the ones that could be Commanders, but you either have to jump through some hoops, or you might be a bit limited, or the strategy is a bit questionable. High potential are the ones that it's clear that, what the path here is. This is clearly going to be strong. And excited are the ones that we personally are, the spark is ignited, that we're interested in building or at least brainstorming. Also, a lot of these characters are going to be deep cuts from the lore. A little over a year ago, Gavin Verhey asked on Blue Sky if any Vorthoses had characters that they wanted to see explored that never got cards. And I was in that thread, and I gave 2 different answers, and both of them are in this set. And a lot of other cards are, but some of them have come about from other things, not lore cuts. So I'm going to include a little bit about the lore of each of these, and I've preambled enough, I think. The first one on our list, alphabetically, is Arzakon, who costs Wooburg, so white, blue, black, red, green, for a legendary planeswalker, Arzakon. He has 4 loyalty. He has a +2 ability. Arzakon deals 3 damage to any other target. A -3 ability of creating a Black Lotus token, which is a 0 mana cost artifact with tap and sacrifice this token, add 3 mana of any one color, which, by the way, that is a slightly new mechanic, the create a card name token, and then in the description it says it's a, and then has a symbol there. That is implying the mana cost. So most tokens don't have mana costs. These ones do, because they should be functionally identical to an actual Black Lotus, except they're not a card, they're a token. And lastly, for -7, each player shuffles their hand and graveyard into their library, then draw 7 cards, and of course Arzakon can be your commander, as all the planeswalkers in this set can be. So the brief lore rundown of this guy is if you played the 1997 Microprose PC video game set in Chandalar, he was the final boss, who had a deck that included all 5 colors and a Black Lotus. So he was a big old cheaty face. And fun fact, whenever someone uploads content onto YouTube that they say is gaming content, and they have to select the game that it's for, if you choose Magic the Gathering, that is the name of the 1997 Microprose game. So technically there are probably hundreds of thousands of videos that are uploaded for the Chandalar 1997 PC game, but are actually for the cards. So, all that said, what do you think mechanically?
He's probably going to be a pretty popular commander as well. Wooburg, so lots of people love that. And then, yeah, it has draw a bunch of cards on it, it has make a bunch of mana on it, and then a third ability that's good, repeatable value. 3 damage kills a lot of creatures.
Yeah.
And if you find a way to break him, loop him, and do... I know there's Planeswalker blink loops you can do.
Yeah.
Then he can kill everyone with that.
Yeah, I mean, you could have him like create a Black Lotus token, blink him, and then make another Black Lotus token, and that's before you do anything else with it.
I know the blink win kind of have in my Sisei deck is the give all the Planeswalkers 2 uses of their ability, and then copy, and then one is blink the original, blink the other Planeswalker.
Is Oath of Teferi one of the things that does that? And the other one is the Chain Veil?
Girl. I forget the name.
Oh, there's a creepy girl?
The creepy girl Planeswalker.
Aminatu?
And the dragon.
Maybe.
I believe are in there.
Okay. Of course, you can
it's
include...
the third WinCon I do, so I don't do it very often.
Okay.
But yeah, all of that would fit in here, and you can, on the way to half completing that loop, use the Black Lotus to make a ton of mana to finish it.
Sure.
And then, just do 3 damage to everyone in turn infinitely, and you win the game. And if you haven't drawn your win con yet, dump your hand to draw 7 more cards. Even if you're not doing combo sweaty, that's still good generic mid-range value that will work for a lot of stuff.
I have another flavor element here. This guy seems to be kind of like the final boss of Alpha in a way, because the first ability is literally Lightning Bolt, an Alpha card, famously. The second ability is literally Black Lotus, obviously. The most valuable card in Magic's history, the sought-after gem from Alpha. And then, which is, of course, part of the Power 9. The last one here is also a part of the Power 9. Do you recognize the effect?
It's one of the old wheels. Not sure which name.
It is Time Twister, which is the only card in the Power 9 that is legal in Commander. Yeah, it's 3 mana. Each player shuffles their hand and graveyard into their library, then draws 7. A real copy of it is going to run you around like 5 or 6K. Because it looks like the last time that it was printed in a tournament legal format was unlimited, so yeah, like 6K. Because Collector's Edition has a different card back, and same with most of the rest of these things. Some of them are like oversized, so this is like an official proxy. I don't know why those things are worth $800, but so yeah, I think that's actually really interesting that he's like the boss of Alpha and the Power 9 and stuff. But he can easily be a 5-color slop commander, right?
Yep.
Which is because he doesn't give you any kind of direction of where to go, other than like, I guess you try to win by having everybody get Time Twistered? Like, I don't know.
Or
like, the various wheel damage effects. Your Underworld Dreams, your, what's his name? Nekusar?
Yeah, a couple win cons that would include him as part of a combo, but definitely could just have it be mid-range slop. There's a good chance it could be CEDH slop, and still do very valuable things in there. The 5 mana's a lot for CEDH, but...
It is. Actual Wooburg seems really difficult in CEDH. because they do play Kenrith as a way of having a 5-color deck where you only have to pay white for the commander, and then it can be part of a number of combos. So this would be a little more difficult, but the payoff is create a Black Lotus token might be the most powerful effect to do right out the gate. I'm skeptical of that personally. So I think where I want to put this is maybe the bottom of high potential, because it's clear that this guy's powerful.
Yeah.
But what specifically you do with him, it doesn't strike me as particularly interesting in that regard.
Yeah, no real synergy until you're winning the game, and so most of the time will be, what cards are in the 99 matter most.
Yeah.
And then, oh yeah, he's here too.
Yeah, oh, and by the way, the format that this is intended to be played in is Commander Draft, where you will end up with a draft pool that will contain a few legendary creatures and of course, planeswalkers. And in that format, you can have any multicolor commander, as you would expect, but any monocolor commander, you can give it partner with any other monocolor commander that you draft during that event. And so I think that some of these are intended to be like, well, this is the commander of your deck, and then the synergies aren't intended to be that strong. Because, who knows what you're going to get in the draft? It's chaotic. So I think this guy is even better in that format and a little worse in normal Commander. But let's move on to the next one alphabetically, which is totally bizarre. Ashaya's Enduring Bond is a red and a green, so a 3-mana legendary sorcery. This is the first and so far only legendary sorcery that says right on it can be your commander. Which means that being a sorcery, when it resolves, it'll go to your graveyard. It'll cost 2 extra generic mana to cast every time you cast it from the command zone. But you don't have to pay commander tax if you cast it from somewhere else, like if you give it flashback or something. And being a legendary sorcery means, as the reminder text on there says, you may cast a legendary sorcery only if you control a legendary creature or planeswalker. So you can't just cast Ashaya's Enduring Bond anytime you have 3 mana, in your Gruul deck. You will need to get some other legendary creature or planeswalker on the battlefield first. And in the lore, this is the connection between the planeswalker Nissa and the plane of Zendikar. So this is the intermediary between the entire planet and the one planeswalker who wants to control it. This is the being that filters through. So, neat. Lastly, of course, the mechanic of the actual card, it discovers X, where X is the amount of mana spent to cast this spell. And as I said with the commander tax, that will go up every time that you cast it. Discovering X in an increasing amount can be quite powerful, but what do you think?
The fact that the X is going to be a set amount each time, unless you do some real shenanigans, means you're probably building the deck a little pod-like.
Like a birthing pod?
Yeah, certain things at this mana value, certain things at that mana value.
We actually watched a video recently that was doing a bunch of commander term defining, and they defined pod as the group of 4 players that you're sitting with. And that's definitely true. But also, birthing pod was a major deck archetype for a while, and in Commander still is sometimes, where it broadly would be getting rid of one creature you control to go through your deck to find another one that is slightly better, in this case with 1 more mana value. And then you would just keep on going up the chain, so you'd have to design your deck around a progression of mana costs. So you're saying for Ashaya's Enduring Bond, it might be similar because the first time you cast it, you'll discover 3, and then you'll discover 5.
Yep.
And you got to plan for that.
Yeah, so that definitely, if you enjoy that kind of deck building, this would be more fun. If you've always wanted a sorcery as the commander, then this is the time you get to do that. I'm a little sad it's not in the right color combos for the companion. That has every card in the deck must be the same card type.
It's like Ulgrotha or something like that. What? Umori, that's right. Umori.
Black, green.
This actually, you're
If they
right.
change the
This would be
hybrid rule.
super cool. So let's see. Each non-land card in your starting deck shares a card type. Because as is in Commander, you can pretty much do creature, obviously. Artifact if it's like an artifact creature or vehicle. Enchantment if it's an enchantment creature. Planeswalker, there's a few. But you can't do instant or sorcery, even though there is one sorcery commander.
Yep.
Okay, that is a bummer. And I looked up the one that you can do, and you can't do it. Because Jagantha, if you tried to make this your companion, you've got this Wooburg cost here. So you actually can't put this in an Ashaya deck. Another thing I thought of was Discover X in the command zone means in theory you could cast this and then have a specific spell somewhere in your deck and then a whole bunch of lands that it just scoots on through, or a whole bunch of higher mana cost things that scoots on through and gets you like a specific thing. Except you do have to already control a legendary creature or planeswalker, so you do have to find one of those in your deck before you can even get started. And I think that ruins most of the plans of doing something really cheap and cheaty.
Well, you mean you can still do the gimmick stuff of you have a 4-mana creature that's legendary, and then 3 or less is your gimmick card. And yeah, you do that on turn 5, but if the whole deck is play this on turn 5, and then you're done with the game, that's still doable. Not sure what that one card would be to be worth it. There's still probably one out there. But
I mean, my gut tells me that you have to play enough legendary creatures, most likely. There probably aren't enough options for planeswalkers that are in red and green and cost very little mana, like 1 or 2, that you can get out before Ashaya. You have to play so many. Well, okay, yeah, but of course in most decks you want to be playing them on curve. You know, you want to be playing your 3-mana spell on turn 3 if it's a good one. And this one doesn't benefit you from waiting, really. You kind of want to do it and then do it again and stuff. But so you need to play so many in your deck that it doesn't seem like you could really do a lot with the cheating, because you're most likely going to discover into one of those little guys.
Yeah.
You know, like if you did Rogue Rock, I think it's spelled that way. Let's hope. Oh, close. Rogue Rock. He costs 0. He's legendary. So you could easily do Rogue Rock and then Ashaya and then Discover 3. Except you're gonna find guys like Rogue Rock like half the time.
Yeah.
Or your deck isn't gonna be able to play Ashaya on curve. So
I would probably just make the deck not play on curve. But yeah, the many ways you could do it, it's probably questionable in my mind. There might be ways to make it good. I've never built and done a deep dive on Discover before, but
there are a lot of cool things that you can do with like casting a spell where you don't have to pay the mana cost. So there are various things where you can like deal damage equal to the mana cost without having to pay it. Or casting something from a place other than your hand, like Nalfeshni, I think is one of the cards where you like copy any spell that you cast from exile. All kinds of things like that. And a lot of them are in red. Hell, you could even play... there's some cards that make spells cost more to cast, which... what was it? It's like Helm of... There are too many Helms of... Helm of Awakening is the opposite of what I'm talking about. Spells cost 1 less? Nah. There's maybe it's not that. Maybe it's... Oh, I know. Sphere of Resistance? That's the one. Spells cost 1 more to cast. People hate this for good reason. But, I mean, it does mean that you get to Discover 4 or Discover 6 or Discover 8. And your opponents will be held back by it more than you, maybe? I don't know. This one seems difficult. But also, now that I think about it, with the way that this set is designed, I'm skeptical that we're going to find that many commanders here that are going to fit into lame or better than 99. Because recently we've been seeing so many like Hobbit and Spider-Man and Marvel stuff where they've been designing commons that are intended for draft or standard and stuff. Every single one of these is designed to be a commander, and so it's really like a pass or fail kind of thing almost.
I mean, there still might be some lame ones. But
Yeah.
Not
so
many that will go in the 99.
I'm skeptical that we're going to see too much down here, but let's continue and find out. So let's see. Arzakon is from Chandalar, the plane. Ashaya is from the plane of Zendikar. Autumn Willow, I know, is from the set of Homelands. I believe Homelands depicts Ulgrotha, which I think is a separate plane. And on Ulgrotha, I believe she's an avatar who just happens to look exactly like a human. Most other planes, the avatars look like other things. But I think she's effectively like the Ashaya of Ulgrotha, that she is like the bridge between humankind and the forest and like the Mother Earth kind of spirit. And flavor-wise also, this is an artist, Margaret Organ Keane, who has illustrated for Magic since the good old days, including, the original Autumn Willow and like Daughter of Autumn and stuff like this, but has done very few cards in the last couple of decades. But I actually saw her recently at a convention where she's still signing cards that she illustrated 30 years ago. So I think it's really neat that this, and she's like in her 80s or something, that they invited her to illustrate a new card for, her old character. So honestly, I think that this is in large part inspired by her as a continued artist supporting Magic. But what she does is 3 and double green for a 3/3 legendary creature avatar with hexproof. And when Autumn Willow enters, create a 1/1 green Forest Dryad land creature token, which, because it is a creature token, is affected by Summoning Sickness, even though it's a land, which normally wouldn't. And whenever you tap a land creature for mana, add an additional green. So, what do you think?
So probably not better in the 99, unless it's the really specific niche of land creature decks. But just as a mana dork, 5 mana for 2 green is too much. As a commander of the land creature decks, the more colors is definitely helpful. This still gets you a fair amount of mana, and there's a lot of well, not a lot, but some ways to turn all of your lands into creatures or make a bunch of land creatures. So having the just make a ton of mana in the command zone isn't horrible. It's a very niche archetype to play. You're gonna either love it or hate it, and it is mildly risky, so if you don't love it, one board wipe destroys all of your lands. That's not
someone
a happy
does
place.
A Earthquake or a Wrath of God, or those cards that people don't play. But Blasphemous Act, Toxic Deluge for 1, that can wipe out your lands. Of course, she is making a land creature token when she enters, but just 1.
Yeah,
so
not a lot of blinking in the green.
Yeah, and I've said before that if your commander has an enters ability, it better either be really powerful or repeatable or or just a minor part of what they do.
Yeah.
And I think that your land creatures tapping for mana, adding additional green is cool and all, but actually a lot of the good land creatures are 2 colors.
Yeah.
So I think that she fits into a better in the 99, honestly. And I think that where you'd be better off is with one of the many earthbending commanders from Avatar. Because if you're earthbending, you can turn your lands into creatures, and if they die, they come back to the battlefield.
I haven't seen a go wide earthbending deck yet.
Okay.
I have seen some of the just turn all your lands into creatures wide. And I would think you would get more benefit from that, but definitely this is possible too.
This would be a good example. Whenever you attack, Earthbend X, where X is the number of experience counters you have, and Landfall, you get an experience counter. So With Toth, you are making your lands into creatures, and then you are making them bigger and bigger creatures every time you play more lands and you earthbend more. And then you put Autumn Willow in there. She's got hexproof. She gives you another, what people call manland.
Yeah.
And then your manland's now tapped for an additional green. I think that she's a great support in a deck like this. But I think that Toph is the better commander, as you are getting, like, power off of this. This is a game plan that will lead to a victory. This is help.
Yeah.
So that's, I think we did actually find one that makes more sense, is better in the 99. Keeping in mind, of course, that in the format this is intended for, she would partner with some other commander, but that's not going to be the case for normal commander. So next alphabetically is, I need to go there. Balefang the Unslayable, which this is one that is not a character from the deep lore, and then they finally got a card. This is a character who is imagined as the counterpoint to Baneslayer Angel, which was really popular when it first came out in, like, I don't know, Commander 2010 or something. Because Baneslayer Angel was a 5-mana 5/5 with flying, first strike, lifelink, and protection from demons and dragons. And she was seen as such an example of power creep when she first came out compared to Sarah Angel for the same mana cost that is a 4/4 with half as many abilities. But now we've got Balefang the Unslayable, who's a 5-mana legendary creature demon dragon, so the Baneslayer has protection from both of his types. And he has flying, trample, and protection from angels and archons. Archons are pretty rare, but they're usually big flyers. They're usually white. Players can't gain life, so that defeats one of the things that Baneslayer Angel does. And here's the weird part. When Balefang enters, target opponent creates a tapped Baneslayer Angel token. The token is goaded for the rest of the game. So that token is all of this, of course. And because it's goaded, it will have to attack every turn and attack someone other than you. So, weird. What do you think?
Yeah. The players can't gain life is definitely a pretty narrow silver bullet. The various
yes, some decks will be ruined by that, but you can't plan around it.
Yeah.
Ooh, right.
And so that's both good and bad, and usually something I avoid, even if it is good for me that game. It could utterly ruin someone else's game just by accident. The protection from angels is probably not going to completely ruin someone else's game, but also not gonna come up for opponents' cards very often.
It does mean that this thing can...
the token it can do is, yeah.
Yeah, actually, the weird thing is that they swing past each other. Not that the Baneslayer Angel's going to be readily attacking you because it's goaded by you.
But if they're the last player left.
Yeah, that's true.
Then, okay, you can block
a goaded
no problem.
creature, when you get down to a 1v1 situation, has to attack, and has to attack someone other than you if able. And so that means you're the only opponent, and it does have to attack, so it will be attacking you when it's 1v1. Yeah. But they slide past each other. Balefang can't block Baneslayer, and Baneslayer can't block Balefang.
Yeah.
So, also an important rules point here. Normally, any mana symbols printed on a Magic card adjust its color identity, which is important for commander deck construction. The exception is reminder text. So since this is in parentheses and italicized, this is reminder text and not rules text. Therefore, if this is your commander, this is a monocolor deck, mono red. But of course, in the format it was designed for, it would be paired up with something else that might be white. You could get two colors. And I think that this thing being stuck in mono red does limit it somewhat.
A good notch. It's not the best Voltron commander in the world. And so, yeah, you could lean into the, okay, I gave away a 5/5 angel token that is doing decent stuff. It's the new Marvel one that does the same things, does that better.
Oh,
And
I know who you're talking
because
about.
this angel can die.
Sentry.
Yeah.
There's gonna be multiple, but it's like the Sentry maybe. Or oh, there he is. Where when he enters, you give somebody a void token, and that void token attacks each combat if able. It doesn't have to attack you in this case, so it's not literally goaded, but since he has vigilance, so he's never going to be unable to block, and he's indestructible, there's kind of no point in your opponent attacking you with the void because they'll just be blocked by Sentry and you're okay. So if they do anything with the void, they attack your opponents or they just sit back as a blocker.
Yeah.
So this is similar to that, but they can't come at you, period.
Yeah. So the white one
Until
does
the end.
this flavor a little bit better, and I'd rather be in mono white than mono red for this. But if you really liked Sentry but hate mono white, I guess you have an option now.
Plus, this is a 4-mana commander, which does not have double color pip up here.
Yeah.
Indestructible and Vigilance, I think, is better than Trample and Protection from Angels, Archons, and players can't gain life.
Yep.
So I think that this is going to be a questionable one. I think it might be
lame
better than
even.
Ashaya, because this one, it's questionable whether or not you're going to be able to cast your commander in the first 3 turns. But Balefang, at least, like, you can get it on curve. And, you know, if this seems fun or funny to you, like giving somebody an angel who kind of does your bidding, but not completely, that could be fun or funny, but it's not that good.
Yeah.
And I looked it up, they don't really have any lore. Blore the Impervious, on the other hand, has just a tiny bit of lore. There's a card that references him that gives a creature trample, hexproof, and indestructible temporarily, and I believe +3/+3, and it's from Bloomburrow, so he's from Bloomburrow. And this is the guy that it says that other card makes you like. That's like make impervious or something like that. And so this is Blore, who has these things all the time. But that's about all when it comes to lore. He's just a very tough frog from Bloomburrow. And in this case, yeah, he's a 3 and double green, so 5 mana, 3/3 frog warrior with trample, hexproof, and indestructible. So, what do we think?
So, Voltron Commander, there's a lot of those.
Yeah.
And a lot of ones that have the keywords, a couple with very, very good keywords. This does all of the things you want of the protection and the 2 main types. That covers 95% of things that would kill him. Trample is evasion. The only thing you're missing is making him big, and so if the rest of your 99 is get him out a little earlier and make him big, that is very doable. A little bland. And that very much know if that's the type of deck you want before you make it, and probably look at some of the others, and do you really want to be a frog instead? Do you like him better than the other ones? There's many things that do this. It might be one of the top tier ones, mana value a little bit.
Obviously,
worse.
personally, I play Wilson, 2 mana 2/2 with Vigilance, Reach, Trample, Ward 2, can't be countered, get a background. So this is the one that I like in part because you can get a background and therefore also be playing another color. I play white. You could, another similar one might be Thrun, I think is the name. Oh, close. I thought it was double N for some reason. Thrun the Last Troll, who can't be countered, has hexproof regeneration, and is a 4 mana 4/4. So pretty efficient creature. I guess there's a Breaker of Silence version that's a little bit bigger, and as long as it's your turn, it's indestructible. So there are a number of like mono green tough guys that you can put stuff on, and he has 3 of the best abilities, but he's not efficient in terms of like mana cost of power and toughness. He's a little underpowered, which honestly I do kind of like from the flavor standpoint of being from Bloomburrow. He's a little small, but he's very tough, and of course, green has lots of auras, instants, sorceries, and equipment that you can put onto him to make him stronger.
Plus
but,
one, +1 counters.
Oh, yeah. All
Yeah.
that stuff might be a little boring, as you
Yeah.
said. So I think this is one that, I think I gotta put it in high potential, though, because all the tools are there to just put stuff on him, and then he becomes this unstoppable force, this juggernaut that's gonna get you eventually, because...
I guess you will have to deal with the fact that your game plan is very much telegraphed.
Oh, yeah.
And the first person that you're trying to kill is going to do everything in their power to kill you first. And he doesn't have much defense on him. So...
in terms of, like...
protecting your own life total.
protecting you, that's
Yeah.
right. He protects himself as well as any magic card does. There are few magic cards that protect themselves better than this one. Hexproof and Indestructible cover 90% of the things that can kill a creature. And yet, you can Toxic Deluge,
Yeah.
you can Farewell, those things will get them. And people do play those.
Yep.
But other than that, it is tough.
Yeah,
but
more likely that 1 or 3 players will just attack you until you're dead.
This might be a good one to hand to a new player, though, where the deck it's hard to go wrong as long as you keep turning him sideways, just for them to get the feel of, like,
Good
combat
first
and...
bolts on deck to make, too.
Yeah, play a little bit of ramp in there, and off you go. I can see, once again, though, how this guy would be even better if he partnered with something else so you get 2 colors. So that is becoming a trend where I'm like, he's missing a little sauce.
Yeah.
And, there's the sauce. Okay, Boss Uraman is from Kamigawa. She was in the Kamigawa stories surrounding, like, betrayers of Kamigawa in particular. She was the most, powerful kind of Yakuza boss in the, the Takanuma Swamp kind of area. She obviously has a lot of lackeys, especially her rats. Are like her foot soldiers. They're the most expendable, so she sends out to do missions all the time. Some of them are straight up ninjas, some of them are just rogues. And she also, I believe, has a pact with the Myojin of Night's Reach, which gives her some control over shadows. And so that's like the Shadow's Reach kind of thing. And the Myojin of Night's Reach, I believe... I think she was eventually killed in a revenge plot by the ninja rat... what is her name? There's a ninja rat who got revenge and killed her, and the Myojin of Night's Reach also is what brought Tetsuo Umezawa to Dominaria, I believe, back in the day. So all that's the flavor stuff I know about her off the top of my head, because I did read those books back in the day. But for 3 and a black, she's a legendary creature, human rogue. She's a 2/2 with Shadow, which is pretty crazy. You don't see that these days, but it means that she can block or be blocked only by creatures with Shadow. So it's an evasion ability that is kind of a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Attacking ninjas and rogues you control have Death Touch, so that includes her. And whenever 1 or more ninjas and or rogues you control deal combat damage to a player, create a 1/1 black rat rogue creature token. Okay, I've blabbed enough.
So, yeah, bottom paragraph. If you hit 3 players, you're making 3 rats with Death Touch. That's not bad. That can add up pretty quickly. Very few people like to block stuff with Death Touch, especially if it's a 1/1.
Right, I call it a pseudo-evasion ability
yeah.
sometimes.
And so you're likely to get 3 more each turn. Once you find some way to get the first 3, then you're set and just snowballing more and more creatures, leave some as blockers, no one's hitting you, and, well, I guess only the attacking ones have Death Touch. Chump blockers if you wanted them. The summoning 6/3 anyways. But
and it's easy to find creatures in black that have Death Touch anyway, but of course the ones that gain it would be even better.
Yeah.
Ninjas and rogues are somewhat supported in mono black. They're split roughly 50-50 with blue, though.
Yeah. But if you enjoyed that tribe and wanted to build a tribal deck, this would work for that.
Yeah.
You could also build it Voltron with the evasion on the commander, and then getting some extra damage and or blockers as needed.
That's
couple
true.
different directions you could take it. The mono black's going to lower the ceiling of the deck
Yeah.
a good notch. But yeah, if you enjoy any of those things, then it will do those things pretty well.
I'm looking at that last ability as being the only thing that really makes her relevant as a commander.
Yeah.
The Shadow, I mean, starting at 2 power, I think if you're trying to go Voltron, that's a long walk.
Uphill battle.
Absolutely. And having Death Touch on herself when she has Shadow, almost irrelevant. Giving it to your other ninjas and rogues is nice, but it's mostly that last ability that makes her even considered as a commander, because otherwise I definitely would have said put her in the 99. Because once again, you lose at least half of the ninjas and rogues that are worth playing if you only have black and not blue.
Yeah, there's a lot of generic combat damage triggers that you could play, and the Shadow's always going to get through, so throw all of those swords and stuff on her, and can get a fair amount of value, but yeah, it's mostly going to be a tribal deck that's only in one color.
In fact, honestly, I'm really on the fence between better in the 99 or questionable, because
And I mean, yeah, if it's a ninja or rogue deck, then
because I think she's going to be excellent in an Anawan the Ruin Thief deck or one similar to it, where just like your rogues are bigger, and then she's a rogue who makes rogues and gives a benefit to rogues. Great. And then, you know, just being a piece of it, I think she is actually at her best in a blue-black rogue deck and not at the head of it.
yeah, C minus
she's
as
better
a
there.
commander, and yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna put her here, because you could put her as a commander, but I think you're gonna find yourself in a bit of an uphill battle. So you might struggle. You could possibly, if you really tuned it, I think you're probably gonna have a bracket 2 deck that's pretty fair. But yeah, I think if you want her to be in a deck that's actually powerful and utilizing her to her most, it's going to be in a Dimir deck where she's just one of the pieces. So, the Chief Magistrate of Mercadia. I never read the books for Mercadian Masks, but if you've seen the card Conspiracy, he's this guy. Because I believe what's been going on is that there's like a goblin aristocracy in Mercadia, and it's supposed to be kind of a joke because the one goblin on the Weatherlight crew was Squee, the like dumb comedy relief character who was always so clumsy and childlike and everything. And then they come to this place where the goblins are all of the nobility. And so like, oh, is your goblin in charge? It was quite funny. And then they get to, you know, the chief magistrate who's like some guy, except during the story they overthrow him and then the goblins take over entirely. So I don't know too much about him except that he does get dethroned and then the goblins all fight over the throne. So for 4, a red and a white, he's a legendary creature, human noble. He's a 3/3 for 6. Ugh. When he enters, you become the monarch. And at the beginning of your upkeep, create a 2/1 red goblin creature token with haste. Then, if you're still the monarch, for each creature token you control, create a token that's a copy of it. That sounds like a bit of a feat to still be the monarch when you're a 6-mana 3/3. People are going to try to take that from you.
Yeah. I mean, the game plan is probably make a bunch of token creatures. And those can block. You're in white, so you can blink him on the end step before your turn. And now, poof, you're the monarch again.
Right.
And then once you start doubling all of your tokens, after one or two times of that, then it's just, yeah, you can't get through all my blockers.
Yeah, good point. I was thinking at first this should be a deck that is good at retaking the monarchy, but not necessarily holding it. But actually, considering you've got red and white, he is doing a pretty good job of making, an army all by himself. So you can spend most of the rest of your cards on making sure that you retain the monarchy or steal it back, as you said, by flickering him at the end of your opponent's turn. So by the time you untap, you are the monarch. And then you take your, 4 goblin tokens, make 4 more. Actually, you make 1 more and then double them.
Yep.
So
Make 5 more.
So actually, this is like a goblin deck with a non-goblin commander that actually looks kind of good.
Yeah. I mean, doubling, is something that I always look at as that's going to be high power. And that much mana is more than I'd like.
Sure.
But it's one of the ones that I put on my short list of, do I want to actually make this deck?
Yeah, this could be kind of fun and funny in that it'd be a bit like a Krenko deck, except for it has other things to do besides just making goblins.
Yep.
It starts a little slower, but it has an extra color. It has a little bit of card draw built in there. Also, it's, it is saying for each creature token you control. Yeah. I was thinking for a second there that it might, copy your treasures. But no, that's fine.
If you have a way to copy or make any sort of actually more than just a stat block creature token, we'll copy that too.
Oh, and white actually has a number of cards that care about creature tokens.
Yep.
I'm trying to remember, is it Intangible Virtue? Creature tokens you control get +1/+1 and have vigilance, which is actually pretty great in this deck. +1/+1 for that low cost spread across a whole lot of bodies is pretty huge, and vigilance will help you maintain the monarchy. So actually, this deck seems pretty cool. I'm going to say it's the best one that we've reviewed so far.
Yep.
And I do see some gulf here between the multicolor commander that is expected to stand on its own and the monocolor commander that's expected to have a partner. So, Chief Magistrate, this seems fun. And, I think we can move on to Chira All In, who I believe has only ever been referenced before in the card Gamble, and even then, only in the Judge promo version of Gamble, where she's some kind of, Indiana Jones / D&D rogue kind of character. As she triggered yet another trap, Chira realized that what she thought was the goblin word for easy probably wasn't. But Chira, all in, we got snakes, we got crazy blocks to climb, we've got, battering rams and pendulums and spikes, all kinds of crazy crap going on here. This is some Legends of the Hidden Temple Tomb Raider kind of crap going on. And she's still got that one red gem that she got in the Gamble art. But she's 3 in a red for a 3/3 human rogue whenever you discard 1 or more cards at random, or select 1 or more targets at random, or choose 1 or more modes at random, or flip 1 or more coins, or roll 1 or more dice. Put a +1/+1 counter on Chira and create a tapped treasure token. That's a lot of things, but they're all random.
Yeah, that does not give you a lot of control or choices.
Yeah.
And could very easily not go your way. So someone sits down across the table with this deck, and I will go, oh, you're going to do a scary thing. Okay, 50% chance that I can ignore whatever you're trying to do because it just won't work. And maybe that means that you get away with it because I don't counter your stuff, but also a lot of the times it doesn't work, and when it does, you get a treasure, which is not bad. You're probably not looping this for infinite tapped treasures, but maybe there's a way to turn a coin flip into more coin flips.
Yeah.
But more likely, you're going to get a few +1/+1 counters. You're probably not even going to get that commander up to 7 by the time you're swinging at people.
And 7 is a magic
Yeah.
number for commander power because you only have to hit someone 3 times with a 7 power commander to kill them with commander damage. So that's a key number to aim for. But with all this random stuff, there's a lot of things that can trigger it. However, with this as your commander, you're stuck in mono red.
And still need evasion and protection for your Voltron commander. So not a very good Voltron commander.
No, and Voltron, you would really even only consider it because half of what she does is get you counters.
Yeah.
+1/+1 counters on her to make her bigger. And if you're not going Voltron, then it almost doesn't matter. So the treasures are really the value you're hoping for, and
better
even
ways
then,
to get treasures,
there are a lot
even in
better
mono
ways.
red.
So-
It's kind of lame.
Okay,
And maybe even a trap.
a trap. I can't believe it. Okay, I think that this is another example of a commander who's better in the 99, in the sense that if you have a commander that causes you to do a thing at random, and it includes red and something else, it's probably going to be a lot better for her to be in there than for her to be the commander.
Yeah.
However, I've seen people for years that want to do a red chaos deck, and it ends up being like Warp World or Scrambleverse or Planar Chaos, some kind of annoying BS that just means that everyone else's game plans, you throw strategy out the window, you're now, you're now gambling instead of playing a game that involves strategy at all. However, I think that this actually is redirecting that energy in a positive way. This is saying, play the random chaos deck, but where the random effects are what you are gambling with and not what your opponents are. And I think that makes her actually pretty good there. It's going to be a terrible deck. It's going to be a terrible deck. But if you really want to do mono red chaos all the time, please build a Chira all-in deck, and I will actually play against it. When if you were playing chaos with any other commander, I would probably say no thank you.
Or at the very least, stop them from playing the game so you can continue to play the game.
Yeah.
This, I will let someone play their game and watch them lose and not interfere.
Yeah. Next, we go on to Davol, Evankar of Wrath. Now, Evankar is a high-ranking title in Phyrexia. It's like a lord or something like that. I mean, obviously, he's a noble. And other Evankars of Wrath include Krovax, who was the Evankar of Wrath for a while. And who's the shapeshifter that you've played as a commander? It starts with a V, I think. Remember his name? It's like Volrath or something?
Yeah.
Is that his name?
Find it.
Yeah, that's his name. Yep. Volrath also has been an Evankar of Wrath, which was a plane that Phyrexia, I believe, conquered and then tried to overlay onto Dominaria as a way of invading to get around the whole planeswalking thing. If they merged 2 planes into one, then you can transport your whole army, rather than having to take them one at a time but with a planeswalker or something. So these are normally some pretty nasty guys, and Davol could be some nasty guy. I mean, he is a Phyrexian. However, the main thing that people remember Volrath from is, let's see. Well, how am I going to find it here? I actually am now forgetting the name of the card, but I think I can find it in flavor text from Davol. He's in one of Magic players' favorite flavor texts of all time. From Carnival of Souls. Davol, blast those elves. Davol, transport those troops. No one cares that today is my birthday. Which just among a set where the Phyrexians are like this unstoppable, evil, malevolent force, to have like some middle manager who's whining about like his personal grief is pretty funny to me. Plus, actually, now that I think about it, yesterday was my birthday.
Yeah.
So, a lot of these are kind of coming out right around my birthday. But this is also whenever a creature enters, you lose 1 life and add a black, which is always risky because it counts your opponents. Yeah. So you got to have something worth spending a black on at all times. Whereas the Davol we see here says whenever another creature you control enters, you lose 1 life and add a black, which loses the, having to play dynamically around what your opponents are doing, and then can really focus in on the probably infinite combos that you might be able to pull off with this.
Do need to add some way to gain life, otherwise you'll kill yourself first if you start looping things.
It depends. I mean, for instance, the loop could involve something like Blood Artist.
Yeah.
Considering that Blood Artist, when a creature dies, you can steal a life from a player. So you can have a creature enter, it makes you a black, and then, you play it over and over again or something, keeps making...
Yep. Yeah. Multiple ways to do it. It requires either, a card that does 2 things or 1 extra card.
Yeah, Bile Urchin can make someone lose a life, or Blood Pet can be sacrificed to add another black. I'm not 100% sure what the loop is here, but I think there's got to be some. I'm not sure if there's a 1-card infinite combo where the other card is Davol, so it's in your command zone all the time, but there might be Davol plus 2 other things for an infinite combo. And there's a lot of ways that Davol plus 3 other things goes infinite. So if this is an infinite combo deck where you have to assemble 3 different kinds of cards together and then you just have 10 redundancies, that might be a kind of fun infinite combo deck when I normally am very against infinite combo decks.
Yep. Definitely very doable. Green-black, good colors to tutor for that stuff.
I'm so glad that we got the green added in there.
Yeah.
That adds a lot.
Yep.
I mean, after all, now you can play, what's it called? Guardian Project. So whenever, a creature enters under your control, you'll draw a card unless you're playing Relentless Rats or something that have the same name. Because that's another way you can possibly start looping these things is one enters, you draw a card, you bang another one, draw a card.
Yep, many ways to do it. And it's even if you only got half the combo, you can still use the extra mana until you get there. And very doable. Maybe there's a fair way to play it too.
Yeah. Are there things that you can just spend 1 black to do something useful and then just do it whenever?
It's whenever the creature enters, and so that's probably during your main phases.
I mean, just are there mana outlets for just a black that you could use over and over again that are useful? I don't recall, but so to me this is either questionable or high potential. I kind of want to say questionable because I can't see the simplest path to victory here. I don't know right off the bat what easy pieces make it work, but I can see what easy pieces make it halfway to working.
Yeah, and if anything, that just makes it a little bit higher potential because your opponent won't automatically know what the combo piece is that they need to stop.
Yeah, I think, I think I'm going to put it in high potential, but because I can't see it, I might leave it down here low for the time being. But honestly, I think that someone else is likely going to find the paths to victory through this. This probably has higher potential than I am aware of,
There's probably already a couple decks on EDH that have the combos in them.
Yeah, I mean, these things have been on Scryfall for 2 days at the time of recording, and people will be brainstorming with it already.
Yep.
Next one on the list is Dragon Smile, which I believe is the only vehicle on this list. of course, if you've been keeping up, I think it's less than a year ago where vehicles, they changed the rules for commander, so a vehicle can be your commander or a spacecraft as long as it has a power and toughness on it. This one's red, of course. A lot of vehicles are colorless, which is rough, but red, at least you got something to work with. And I believe the lore of this one is that the character Kari Zev, aboard her ship, the Dragon Smile, Kari follows no one's rules but her own. And if you were a big fan of what says this? Aether Revolt. If you were a fan of this around the time, you'd be like, wait a second, how come Ragavan got a monkey card and it's really good? And yet in the set that, like, I think introduced vehicles, they don't have her vehicle. Well, no, they do. They fixed that. Great. So it's 5 red for a 4/5 flying vehicle. Once during each of your turns, you may pay 0 rather than pay the mana cost for a spell you cast from exile. Okay. And whenever Dragon Smile deals combat damage to a player, that player exiles that many cards from the top of their library, and you may play those cards this turn. And crew 3. So mechanically, it's important to keep in mind. So if you hit someone with this as a creature, you'll most likely be exiling the top 4 cards of their library. You may play them this turn. Play means that it includes being able to play a land if you haven't already played a land. And then, of course, you can use its first ability to pay 0 for one of those spells. But anything that you exiled this turn, if you don't play it by the end of that turn, then you ignore it at that point on. You're done. But of course, that first ability can also apply to anything else that you could play from exile.
Lots of that in red.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you think?
Potentially interesting, probably not high power. The crew is a minor hoop to jump through. Flying, there should be one person you can hit with that, no problem. They may not be the person who has the cards you really want to steal, but if you can't steal them from the other one, then take what you can. The taking other people's cards is probably not going to work with your deck synergies, but it's a free 1 card draw, free mana. And card drawn mana is powerful. And
you're much more likely to make a land drop after you already hit 7, when you would normally be out by then.
Yep. You have to be a little bit aware while deck building that, okay, you just cheated a forest onto the battlefield, basically, and now you have a bunch of mono red spells, and can you get away with using that green mana to cast your red spells? Most of the time, yes. Sometimes
for the colorless cost, the generic cost.
But there's sometimes of the I want to cast a ton of cheap combat tricks in red, and they're all 1 or 2 red pips and no colorless. Then no, I got my land drop, but I can't use it.
I expect that most players won't run into too many troubles with that, because a land that you get from your opponent like that is just like a bonus, basically. But I think the biggest problem I see here is that 7 mana cost.
That's definitely...
if you're not playing green, it is going to be tough to get to 7 mana consistently, is the thing. You can play some mana rocks, but the ones that make mana of any color, or 2 or 3 colors or something, are going to really have diminishing benefits for you. You can play some burst mana, your Seething Songs, your Mana Geysers, your Jeska's Will, and stuff like that. But those cards provide mana temporarily, and there's only a few of them that you can play in your deck, so you're not going to get them consistently, which means that this is probably going to be slow a lot of the time, and then you still got to accrue it and have something that your deck is doing for the first 5 or 6 turns before it comes out. So I think that makes it actually a pretty bad commander, but it's a pretty powerful effect to have in the 99. where I think if you're playing a 2-color deck, like red-green, then this becomes a lot better, because you can do creature-based ramp, or better yet, land-based ramp. You've got lots of it, so it can be consistent. Plus, there's a number of commanders that care about vehicles.
Or
and
playing things from exile.
Yeah. If you can find one that cares about playing things from exile, this could be like the cherry on top, the curve topper kind of thing, as opposed to Plan A, I know that there is a red-green commander from Final Fantasy that cares about vehicles, and I wonder if it would be good in that deck. They're like Han and Chewie, but a human man and a bunny lady. Let me see if I can find them real quick. Yeah, Balthier and Fran from Final Fantasy XII. I bet that this would be really good in their deck, considering that they give vehicles you control +1/+1, vigilance, reach, and when they crew one, which they can easily crew the Dragon's Smile, then you can pay a little extra mana to take an extra combat. And then if you get an extra combat, then you're going to exile twice as many things. You still can only play one of them for free, but why don't you get like 8 cards exiled and then pick from among those which ones you want to get for free.
Yep.
So, and also, I think as we've said before, like, playing free spells from your opponent's deck isn't much of a strategy because you never know what you're going to get.
Yep.
So it should be more of like a value add and not like the whole plan. And if this is your commander, it's kind of the whole plan. So, with that, I think we ought to move on to who's next? Oh, Dyfed, the Guiding Hand. So this character is really interesting because she is, I believe, the first planeswalker mentioned canonically in the stories, like the novels, because she features in the novel The Thran, which I've read and I really like. In fact, if you are curious about magic novels, especially older ones, The Thran might be the best starting point, because The Thran is like the ancient society that more modern magic characters have been excavating as like archaeological digs, like Urza and Mishra. They were constantly finding Thran artifacts. The Thran are like the first civilization on Dominaria, and they are going through various issues, and then Dyfed the Planeswalker pops up and is like, oh hey, have you guys seen Planeswalkers before? No? Weird. Well, I'm one. Guess what? There are other planes. And that's like the first time that anyone on Dominaria hears about that. And wouldn't you know it, the guy who hears about it, who's in the room at the time, is known as, his name is Yawgmoth? That name might ring a bell to people. He was, let's see, Yawgmoth. Ignore all this super evil looking stuff. There he is. He's a physician. He's a doctor, right? And the Thran, as far as we know, are basically just humans. They're just an old society of humans. They aren't like, aliens or something crazy like that. So he's a human. So he encounters Dyfed, and after a little while hanging out with Dyfed, he really wants to know how she works, and so does secretly paralyze her and dissect her living. And he finds a way to extract her Planeswalker spark and use that power to discover Phyrexia the plane and start conquering it. And he, therefore, created Phyrexia, a problem we're still dealing with today. So, too bad, Dyfed, but now we have a card for her, yeah. Which is 3 and double blue for a legendary Planeswalker Dyfed. She has +1, create 2 tapped Power Stones, which are artifact tokens with tap to add a colorless, but this mana can't be spent to cast any non-artifact spell. -X to untap X target artifacts, and -6 to search your library for an artifact card and put it on the battlefield and then shuffle. I might have missed that she has 4 loyalty, and she can, of course, be your commander. So, I shouldn't clap at the mic so much. Sorry if I jump scared anyone.
Kitties. okay. But yeah, mechanically, does a lot of things you want for a artifact combo-y deck. Gets you mana earlier to make the related turns easy. The untapping stuff is great for making more mana, as well as just a lot of artifacts that can do shenanigans if you can untap them one extra time. And yeah, then after you've plussed her up a couple turns, then yeah, searching for your combo piece, potentially searching for a second combo piece. All very, very powerful. Starting at 5 mana and not getting any of the ramp until next turn's a little slow.
Oh, well, I mean,
but
sure, the tap Power Stone ramp doesn't come out until next turn, but
yeah,
untapping artifacts, like untapping your Soul Rings and Thran Dynamos and stuff, would happen on the same turn.
sure, could do that. That makes it a little harder to build up to the tutor.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But yeah, so you probably want more mana rocks in there, and you probably want some ways to get more counters on her proliferating, or just general doubling or shenanigans. Blue does shenanigans very well. So it has the potential to be a slower bracket 2 or 3 combo deck with artifacts. Not my favorite flavor, but if you like mono blue artifact shenanigans, this is a good place for it.
Once again, of course, in the format she's really designed for, she would be able to partner up with somebody for another color. But this is one of the few commanders I think that could actually work without it pretty well, considering how she compares to Teferi Temporal Archmage, which is, or at least was, played in CEDH. Mostly for his -1 untap up to 4 target permanents, where you'd be untapping permanents for a lot of mana. And also one of the permanents that you would frequently untap is the Chain Veil, which the Veil for 4 mana and tap. Each planeswalker you control can activate one of its loyalty abilities once again this turn, as though none of its loyalty abilities have been used. If you didn't activate... Okay, so yeah, with the Chain Veil and Teferi and 3 other permanents that total make you 4 or more mana, you do go infinite. Dyfed can do the same thing, although she would have to do -X. It'd have to be at least 2, you know? And then the extra abilities that you use, you know, are going to be like creating 2-tapped Power Stones. So I don't know that she goes infinite quite so easily. In fact, actually, this is still a -1, but I believe the idea is that you are making mana every time that you're like untapping a Thran Dynamo, untapping a Gilded Lotus, stuff like that. And then by the time that he has died from losing all 5 of his counters, you can recast him with the commander tax, and he will continue to net you more and more mana until you like win the game somehow. I don't remember how, but yeah. Also you can play it with, I think it's Oath of Teferi. Nope, can't play it with Oath of Teferi, but you know, if you're playing a blue-white deck, you could throw that combo in the 99 where, yeah, you can activate your loyalty abilities again. So Dyfed can also search your library for a card like the Chain Veil. I mentioned that you can be untapping things like Gilded Lotus, which every time that you tap it, you make 3 mana, and she could go find that. You can also go get things like Clock of Omens, which allows you to tap any 2 artifacts to untap any artifact, making something, you know, any other artifact you have become like half of the best artifact that you have.
Yep.
So honestly, she seems like she's an infinite combo machine, where she's always like 1 step away from going infinite. Do you need to -6 her? Well, that might take a little bit of time. Do you need to, you know, make some Power Stones and wait a turn or 2? she always seems like she's one turn away from winning. To me, this is bracket 4.
There might be enough hoops which slow it down that you could build a fair bracket 3 version. But yeah, it'd be one of the ones that you accidentally upgrade the wrong card and oops, your deck is too powerful.
Yeah, I mean, isn't Metalworker legal in Commander now? It was banned for a long time, but yeah, it's not even a game changer. What are we doing out here? Why is this thing not a game changer? I mean, sure, you do have to have a deck with lots of artifact cards in your hand, but it taps for friggin' 2 mana for each one that you reveal this way. So frequently you've got at least like 2, maybe 3 artifacts in your hand, and this thing taps for like 6 colorless. And then you untap it with Die Fed. So to me, this seems like the single strongest commander that we've seen so far. Although, let me just say, I think I'm going to put this one up in Excite, because this seems way more fun.
That it's on my list of potentially make a deck.
Okay. So, and she costs 1 less than the Teferi that people were using in CEDH. So, I've played CEDH, but I'm not an expert on it. So I don't know if she's legitimately better than that one, and I don't know that Teferi is still like a top-tier CEDH deck. I think he's not, but she could be very powerful, I think.
Yep.
As we move on to Ekfi, who I did look up because I was like, oh, you look like you're from New Phyrexia or something, but I don't recognize you. Looked up her lore, she's got none. She didn't exist before someone... I think somebody just wanted to make a living weapon commander deck, and that's cool. So Ekfi Contaminator Priest is 3 and a white for a legendary creature Phyrexian Cleric. She's a 3/3 with other Phyrexians you control get +1/+1, and each equipment you control has living weapon, which means that when that equipment... when any equipment you control enters, you create a 0/0 black Phyrexian germ creature token and attach that equipment to it. Importantly, because she gives Phyrexians +1/+1, they're now effectively 1/1 germs, so if the equipment happens to be moved off of them, they will live. And if you cast a card that already has living weapon, you will in fact make 2 germs, attach it to one, and then the other. Just so you know. All right, what do you think?
So definitely a fun flavor for equipment that I don't believe they have already. Lots of very, very similar equipment decks. But yeah, this slightly new one, which is nice. There's definitely a couple equipments that have ridiculous equipment costs as the way to keep them balanced and fair. And this being able to cheat those in the command zone makes those handful of cards just, super busted.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. So while I'm out here going, oh, there are 14 living weapon cards that you could play where
you don't need to do that.
No, because the benefit there is that you also get a free 1/1 germ.
Nope.
No.
Not paying for that when you get it for free.
What you want is Colossus Hammer. You want something like this where the equip cost is 8, but if it enters with a germ attached to it, then suddenly you've just got a 1 mana 11/11.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
Yep.
How many cards are there out there with a really big equip cost? I don't think that there's many, but there's a few.
I don't think there's enough that you would be able to mulligan and get one every game. So it's very likely you'd have a deck where half the time you're doing that, and the other half of the time you're doing something much less powerful.
Yeah.
And that could make it a little hard to balance.
Yeah, and I'm actually thinking, I don't think I have a way that I can search for equip costs that are 4 or more.
Yeah.
I can't really do that. I can look for mana value that is I don't know, maybe less than 3, just as a starting point, and then there's going to be so many. You might need to do, if you're interested in this, and I kind of am, then you might need to do a deep dive here on equipment that have low costs and high equip costs, and because I don't think that there's an easy way to search for it. I think you just got to go through it manually and go where's that's a 3.
check Google, see if someone else has already made a list.
Ooh, that's a 7, but equip legendary creature is a 3. Blackblade Reforged is actually a great card, because gets +1/+1 for each land you control. I mean, you're playing mono white, but there's plenty of like catch-up mechanics where you can at least get your be on curve.
One extra if you do it before your land drop.
Myriad is kind of neat, although I think you'll be making a bunch of 1/1s. Because you'll be making copies of the Germ that would normally be a 0/0, but then she makes them 1/1, so that's actually not very good. I can't do the search for you, but I would guess that there's probably like 6 out there that are really good.
Yeah.
And then otherwise you're building a mono-white equipment deck, or you could just lean into the Phyrexian thing. Just play lots of white Phyrexians. How many of those are there, though?
There's another commander, I think, that does the Phyrexian tribal a little bit stronger, but...
Oh, yeah. Is it the other one in this set?
Yeah.
I think you might be right. But how many white Phyrexians are there? Oh, 95. Wow. Yeah. I was about to guess like 20. But, okay. We're including a lot of colorless ones. Okay. Sure. Well, that's legit. And I guess I should have ranked them this way so we see the, the creme de la creme, like Elesh Norn, Mondrax, Psychosis Crawler, shoot! Blightsteel.
You can kill someone with 12 poison.
Wormcoil Engine has been allowed to be a Phyrexian. I didn't know that. Yeah. Okay, that's cool. This guy used to be like one of the big bads of Commander when he first came out in like 2010 or something, because that was just before Commander got called Commander. And this guy was tearing it up because, you play one card, you do a lot of damage, you kill anything, and then if a board wipe happens, then you still end up with 2 halves of it, and that's still quite good. So anyway, I think where I want to put this... So this is actually tough because if we think about this in the 99 of a deck, you could have a Phyrexian deck that is more than one color, and then she boosts everybody. You could have an equipment deck that plays, just lots of equipment, and then suddenly she makes them better.
Yep.
And I'm tempted to say that she might be better in that role than as a commander.
Those decks have higher ceilings. It's whatever those decks' flavors are.
Okay, so in this case, this is an important example of like floor versus ceiling. Okay, so ceiling, as in like the best case scenario, those decks could be very powerful. Here, the maximum power that you get from this is probably that hammer. And then it all goes downhill pretty sharply from there. Yeah. But she has a much better floor in that you can play a lot of equipment and they at least have a 1/1 attached to them. But you're right that most other commanders you could put her in the 99 of will have a higher ceiling, and that's how you win games.
But if you're looking to make a bracket 2 equipment deck, and then you can avoid those 6 cards, and she would make it a very fun, very flavorful, more fair deck, where some of the other equipment decks do spike all over the place, and sometimes very good, sometimes not.
I think I agree. But, if it's between questionable and better than the 99, if you do play her as a commander, that means that sometimes you will have Colossus Hammer and you will stomp people, and most of the time your deck will kind of suck-ish.
Or you have the discipline to not include it in the deck when it would be really, really good and the best card in that deck.
And then you're playing bracket 2 and you're playing thoroughly fair Magic. And I think that she's going to shine the most in the 99 of a like red-white equipment deck or something, where she makes that deck way better. Okay. Next we have Elda, Conjurer of Spectacle. Okay, so this is the first one where I immediately know nothing about her, and I'm kind of bummed about that. She looks like she might be from New Capenna. I'm going to make this a called shot here that she might be from New Capenna, and I do want to take a second here to actually go to MTG Wiki, which is, to my knowledge, the most comprehensive Magic lore site. She's a human magician. Her modern clothing and Art Deco conjuring door may imply that she is from New Capenna. Okay, so that implies then that she had no lore before this. Okay, yeah, because she's only represented in this card. Okay, so she's a character with no lore, but does seem to be from New Capenna, where she has a unicorn companion. And for 2, a green and a white, she's a human wizard. She's a 2/2 with the first non-legendary creature spell you cast each turn has Demonstrate. And Demonstrate is a wild ability we haven't seen hardly ever. Just on like one commander deck cycle, where when you cast that spell, you may copy it. And if you do, you choose an opponent to also copy it. Each copy becomes a token. So if you cast a creature spell, you can get 2 of it as long as an opponent of your choice gets 1. That's interesting.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It definitely does have a downside of
Well, yeah.
giving away stuff to your opponents, and then after they have it, you have very little say what they do with it. And I mean, you can politic that. You can make that into a potentially fun group hug deck that still has creatures that kill people twice as fast as normal. You're helping others, and hopefully they don't kill you with those creatures, so that's maybe still free win con for you. I don't think there's much in green-white, but I would be tempted to do some sort of because I don't believe the opponents get a say in getting the creature or not.
You may copy it if you do choose an opponent to also copy it. They technically don't get a say, although usually when people cast Demonstrate spells, they're like, all right, who wants to have a creature reanimated from their graveyard? Cool. You want one? Okay, I will give it to anyone but you. Or you could do the opposite. You could be nice. And then I'll reanimate 2 creatures and you get 1.
Then I'm tempted to see if there's enough to make a deck where you can do poisoned apples and go, oh, here's a creature that says you can't win the game, and now I sacrifice mine.
Oh, no.
And here is this
you could
that
play
you really don't like.
Grid Monitor. Oh, well, close to Grid Monitor. I have to like look in different directions while I'm recording here, but you can't cast creature spells. Here you go.
And then, you need to do
you get 1.
white-green sacrifice stuff so that your things die. But I think there's probably enough to make that deck too. And really evil if you make both versions of the deck and then don't tell your pod which one you're playing that day.
Build 2 Elda decks and bring them both. And then you'll be like, okay, I'm going to play Elda again. And then you have the other one.
Yep.
Like, wait, did you switch boxes? I don't know what you're talking about. Players can cast spells only during their own turns. Yeah, give you one. Actually, this one doesn't matter if you control it or the other player does. Yeah. But I'm sure that you could find some
lots
stuff.
Lots of discard your hand or do damage to yourself. Lots of very painful creatures to have.
Whenever the first non-creature spell of a turn is cast, counter that spell.
It just 3 of those.
Yeah, let's have 3 of these, huh? We're playing. Hey, and 9 mana. That's crazy, right? No, you're playing green. You could do it.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, you know what? I gotta say, this is going right up here and excited. It's way up to the top now. Because the first thing I was thinking is just, the obvious thing is just to play Stompy where you get twice a Stompy and you give someone else half the Stompy. And that was your plan, and you give it to, like, the Spellslinger player, so it's not their plan. And Gruff Triplets, for some reason, came to mind. Let me see if this works. 6 mana for a 3/3 Trampler. But when it enters, if it isn't a token, you create 2 tokens that are copies of it. So effectively, you're getting 9 power and toughness right off the bat. If you give one to your opponent, it will be a token, so they'll get 3 power and toughness, where you get 9. And then you get 1 more, but it's also a token, so you'll actually get 12 power and toughness, and they get 3. And then when any of those 4 die, they put their power on each of the remaining ones. So one of your 3/3s die, and your remaining 3/3s get +3/+3. So now you've got geez, three 6/6s, and then if one of those dies, you'll have. It's crazy. It's
Decent. Yep.
The numbers go wild, and your opponent gets a beast effectively for it, a 3/3 beast token effectively with trample. Yeah. But yeah, so this is one example.
And you could do a mix of some of the Stompy, and then the occasional you hate your life now. Have fun getting rid of this creature.
You could play multiple Banes of Progress. And if... let's see, what's the timing on this?
Yeah.
When you cast this spell, you may copy it. If you do, choose an opponent to also copy it. Each copy... Okay, so the opponent is the one copying it last, so theirs resolves first. So Bane of Progress, not ideal, considering that they would get the one with all the counters on it.
Yeah.
And you get 2 of them. But you could always build a deck that has no artifacts and enchantments to blow up. In green-white, you're just doing creatures and lands and stuff. And then you do this, like, board wipe where you don't have any drawback, but everyone else does. Or, I don't know, Ori Plate guy is... Yeah, when he enters, destroy all artifacts and enchantments, your opponent's control, and then you gain 1 life for each permanent destroyed this way. I don't know. There's just a ton of different things you could do with this, from giving bad gifts to giving good ones, but you've got double. And one other thing that comes to mind is the mechanic Populate. A mechanic that I don't think I've seen too many people using that effectively. Populate. And let's do the arrange by EDH Dark Rank. Okay. So there are a couple of playable cards in here, from Rootborn Defenses to Nesting Dovehawk, even Trostani. Yeah. But the thing with Populate is that you copy a token, you copy a creature token that you already control. So it only works on creature tokens, and the better the token is, the better Populate is. You would ideally have one really awesome token to do, and there really aren't any good commanders that are that good at it, except I think there's one in Naya colors. But all the Populate cards pretty much are in green-white because it was a Selesnya mechanic. You know, like this, and various others here. But with Elda, if you're demonstrating, you can cast a Craterhoof Behemoth and then get a copy of it. So you've got 2 Craterhoof Behemoths, and then every turn you could potentially populate to make more Craterhoof Behemoths. And your opponent getting 1 on your turn is not near as good as you getting 2 on yours.
Yep.
So the potential is huge with Elda Conjurer Spectacle. I love her. So yeah, way up there and excited. And this is one of the ones I hadn't actually read before. I didn't even notice her. So we go on to Faraz, Ogrotha's Warden, who I had heard of from some cards. Faraz's Ban comes to mind. Yeah. A card originally from Homelands. 6 mana artifact that says creature spells cost 2 more to cast. Boy, that's a 40-cent rare from Homelands, alright. And Faraz, I heard, is like a kind of Middle Eastern or like maybe Egyptian kind of name. And so I heard some people expecting that Faraz was not a white guy, and then we have here the whitest guy to ever white guy. So I did hear some people a little disappointed by that. I also would love any characters that would make sense to be of a non-white race. Is kind of neat to have more representation. But here he is, as he is. So for 3, a green, a white, and a blue, he's a legendary planeswalker who starts with 5 loyalty. You can +2 him to create 2 1/1 blue bird creature tokens with flying. You can 0 him to draw a card, and then put a permanent card, you may, put a permanent card with mana value 4 or less from your hand onto the battlefield. And for -7, you create a Faraz's Ban token, which is a 6 mana cost artifact with creature spells cost 6 more to cast. And of course, he can be your commander. What do you think?
So the middle ability lets you get around the last ability, which is nice.
Yeah, the middle ability seems sick.
It's 1 card draw and hopefully 4 mana. Those are 2 very powerful things to have on the commander. I'd kind of like a little more than one card draw per turn, but definitely good start. Will make the deck run smoother. 6 mana is a fair amount, but green, so it's not a real 6 mana.
I was just thinking, what are some of the best, like, 4-drop permanents that you could be dropping here? Questing Beast comes to mind as a 4/4 Vigilance, Death Touch, Haste with multiple paragraphs of upside on top of that.
Yeah, the deck doesn't really have a bunch of synergy after that, other than just some stacks, some little bird blockers, some generic card draw and ramp. So could be mid-range slop, could be whatever. Not super interesting to me, but yeah, if you enjoy it, those colors have a lot of generic good stuff to pull from.
Yeah, you know what? I think that means that he goes around here, where I do think he has high potential. I mean, there's a lot of things that you could get for free for a 0 ability, and in green, of course, you can get to your 6 and your 3 colors reliably. Making 2 bird tokens is a good start. Maybe you go Bird Kindred and play lots of... You do a go-wide bird deck, and he's just +2 in all the time to make multiple birds every turn. Maybe. Maybe you play the best permanents that cost 4 mana or less, and you're dropping a free spell every turn like Questing Beast. Maybe you're playing some kind of stacks where you do a bird, or a couple birds or something, and then you drop Feroz's Ban on people, and then you're the only one who gets creatures anymore, because everyone else's goblins now cost, way, way, way more mana. All of that stuff is pretty good.
I think the Wooburg Planeswalker, which does very similar, but has, banned cards, is better. But
well, I see what you're saying, and I personally slightly disagree, just because I think that this is a little bit more focused in the sense of it gives you a little bit more of a game plan of, like, making birds or, like, what specifically to build around. And this is a little harder to cast. Honestly, I think Wooburg is harder than 6 in Bant. Starts with more loyalty, but I could see how they're kind of neck and neck. Whereas I'm honestly not quite sure what to do with this other than the whole wheels hurt people thing, which I've seen a million times before, and I think probably Nekusar is better. Yeah. So personally, I think I'm going to leave him here, but I hear you, and it could easily, you could easily put them in different order, but this is how I feel. Oh yeah, and I know nothing else about his lore other than, I guess he's... You know what? Actually, I can tell you something I know about his lore that I just figured out. He's from Olgrotha, right? He's supposed to be the warden. Well, let's see the invasion of Olgrotha. Da-da-da-da-da. Oh no! What is this? I think he was a bad warden of this Olgrotha. Because I believe that he was defeated by Baron Sangir, who took over the plane and made it basically Vampire World, like Innistrad, but without werewolves and Stitchers and ghosts to balance them out.
Maybe he's a Queasling.
Queasling?
Traitor. So he is not a white person, but he's already a vampire.
Oh, so he's just pale because he's a vampire secretly? Yeah, I mean, being a planeswalker, we wouldn't know. We wouldn't know because it doesn't show creature types here. Okay, so maybe he's just pale. But Grandmother Ravi Sangir is one of the premier characters in Olgrotha currently. I do enjoy a good apocalypse. So I think he may have done very poor being Olgrotha's warden. So that might be what's going on with him. Flitwing Liev Detective. I know very little about this character, almost nothing, except they are from Ravnica. They were a figure in the Murders at Karlov Manor set, being a detective here. They're a member of the detective agency. And if I recall correctly, she was kind of like the Na'vi of that set. Or, no, right. Na'vi is from Avatar. Na'vi is from Ocarina of Time. So she's like the hey, listen, little fairy. And I think that people liked her from the book, and then she didn't get a character. So here she is. And she, and Liev, I believe, is the part of Ravnica where you have the detective headquarters, and it's kind of like an 11th guild, but it's technically not. It is like guildless. They're supposed to be impartial in how they do crime detecting throughout the plane. But yeah, 3 mana, 1/1 flying fairy detective. If you would create one or more tokens, you create that many clue tokens instead. Huh.
So there's a fair amount of support for clues. Not my favorite archetype. Haven't built that deck yet. But just swapping basically text on cards is super powerful and lets you break the game. So there's lots of ways to make types of tokens that aren't clues, and lots of ones which you could potentially be looping or would love in a clue deck, except that, well, they're not clues, and poof, now they are clues. So I'm guessing she's part of a 3-card combo and many 3-card combos that will win the game in a lot of multicolor clue decks. So
I think that makes her pretty clearly go into like here, into better than the 99. Because here's the deal. I think clues are one of the worst tokens because they aren't creatures, so they can't attack, block, wear equipment, wear auras. They can't do any of those things that creatures can do, which are so versatile. They don't do damage, and they can't be sacrificed with to do the only thing that they do unless you put 2 mana into them. So the best thing you can say about them is that they are artifacts, and they can turn into card draw if you're willing to put some mana into it. And in blue, you often don't need to try that hard to draw some extra cards. So I think as a commander, she feels bad because I feel like half the time, maybe the majority of the time, if you take the average card that makes a token and you turn that token into a clue, I think that's more often than not downgrading it.
Yep.
But there are bound to be some exceptions. I just don't know what they are. So I think that she makes sense where she's at here in Better Than 99. Probably somebody out there has a clue deck that's like, oh, this opens up so many more possibilities. But I'm not that guy. So we go on to Glava, 5 Advents Mage. What in the world is this character? The 3rd Advent brings hunger. Feed it, but never sate it. Hunger begets growth. Path of the Pentarch. And then this thing on their head, it's like covering their eyes. And then this is some kind of Hydra. Okay, I gotta know. This rings no bells to me. As someone who's been fairly into the Magic lore for, over 20 years. I'm going to try real quick looking them up on here. I got a feeling that they might be made up whole cloth, but I can't even tell for sure what, list of secondary characters is a human mage of the 5 Advents.
Just the 1 card?
Yeah, there's nothing else. So people don't even know where this person's from. I don't think I've heard the term 5 Advents before. Nothing in the costume tells me where, because this looks a little bit like stained glass, which would be like a Dominaria Benalia thing, but that would also be mostly white aligned, and this is like Hydras. Yeah, I got no clue. It sounds like they don't really have lore. But they're 5 and double green for a human wizard who's a 5/5, so 7 mana for a 5/5. Whenever you cast a permanent spell with X in its mana cost, or activate an ability with X in its activation cost that isn't a mana ability, you may have the value of X become 5. Do this only once each turn.
So the only once each turn makes it pretty hard to break that.
Yeah.
And then, well, when you're playing those X-Spell Hydra decks, and you have some of the Hydras you can play early, for X is a tiny amount. And you go, well, this is early, it's fine, I have more. I'll get X is huge later. And then you play her, and you're able to get a free X is 5. And you really want X is 10, and then it never gets bigger than 5, and your wife tells you that size doesn't matter.
Oh,
and then,
yeah, it definitely doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I am concerned about this both in the command zone and in the 99 because you have to have already made it to 7 mana before you commit to getting X on this to 5. Where, like, on the one hand, sure, it means that you probably save yourself 5 mana on the next turn. But it means that you go real medium with that spell, and then the rest of your mana is spent on another one that's probably also going real medium at that point.
Yeah.
When I think that you'd probably rather
Just do one huge one.
do one huge.
That's what Hydras do.
Yeah. So I think that this guy actually, I think he might be lame. As a commander, you're also significantly limited, in mono green because what's the name of the character from Warhammer 40k?
Yeah,
there, Magus Lucia Kane is who I'm thinking of, who like taps for 2 colorless. The next X spell, you copy that spell or ability, and then she gives you access to 3 colors and comes out earlier. She is a way better commander.
But X would have to be 2.5 for that to be better. Sure, she pays for 2 of it, but what if you don't have that extra 0.5 mana?
Oh no. Yeah, because effectively this guy pays for 5 of the mana in an X spell, and she pays for 2, but then doubles it. So she's effectively making like 4 mana for you, or your X spell is like 4 more. Maybe even better than that. Not to mention putting an extra counter on a creature every turn, and of course getting access to
More
blue
colors.
and red, which is huge. So yeah, honestly,
earlier.
she absolutely embarrasses Glava as far as I can tell, and I think that this is actually kind of bad.
Yep.
So we're gonna move on to Grok the Pacifist, which I do recognize this guy. I don't think that he had much lore, because I think that he's literally just the guy from Pacifism who... this guy. But we can go all the way back, I think, what's the first the very first printing of Pacifism back in 1996 is this. And this is another, like, fan-favorite flavor text. For the first time in his life, Grok felt a little warm and fuzzy inside. And that's just cute. And I've wondered a long time, like, what are you, Grok? Are you a guy who's wearing, like, weird horns and... No, maybe you're not a human. You have green skin. You're humanoid, but now they've confirmed effectively he's an orc. Okay. We don't know what plane he's from. Also, here he's got like a Frankenstein head. He's like got a 5 head going on with the flat top. But in any case, he's 1 and a white, the same cost as Pacifism, for a legendary creature orc, with no secondary creature type, by the way, which means that he doesn't have like a job. He's just chilling, doing his own thing, bothering no one. He's a 4/3 for 2, but he can't attack or block. And whenever you cast an aura spell that targets a creature an opponent controls, you draw a card. But this ability triggers only once each turn. What do you think about this?
So there's already multicolored aura control defense decks that do this better. It's not bad to go in those decks.
Silver Quill recently did it pretty well.
Drawing an extra card, nice. On its own as a commander, it's a little hard to cast auras on other people's turns in mono white.
Oh, it's not on their other turns. It's on. Oh wait, I see what you're saying. So that you can
draw more than one card.
Yeah, exactly. You're definitely right.
That's hard to do, and therefore it's 1 card draw turn, and you're doing auras. Enchantress is generically powerful, half as powerful in mono white. The auras is a smaller subset and may be enough of a direction to have a win con, but there's a lot better options for that if you want that.
Yeah, I think he's pretty clearly better in the 99. Considering that we do have, especially now that we've been through Strixhaven with the like repartee ability and the Silver Quill Commander deck that came out recently, we now have in either white-black or white-blue a lot of kind of auras matter commanders. And while this is a pretty efficient package of 2 mana and a repeatable card draw effect for playing auras, and there's quite a few auras that you could play on your opponent's stuff that's pretty bad for them. Maybe even having a 4 power or greater commander that, even if it can't attack or block, maybe that you can get around that somehow, or maybe having a 4 power creature is still useful in some way. I don't know what it is, but I think that there are other commanders that give you access to another color or do a little bit more for you than this does. You could build him as a commander, but I think he's not going to be that great, except in the 99 as something else. All right. Then we've got Grandmother Gobi, who we were talking about the other day. Grandmother Gobi, who I think also doesn't have any lore around her. If I remember right, this is an instance where they literally had that piece of art sitting around from a project that they never ended up doing. I think that the artist said something like, Grandmother Gobi, list of secondary characters unknown. Okay, so they don't even have like an article or anything yet. Okay, so Grandmother Gobi, I believe this is a piece of art that was commissioned for like, Lorwyn or something, and then they didn't end up using, and so they made a new card with that art, and she's 2 and double blue for a 2/2 Merfolk Wizard. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, counter it. Create a number of 1/1 blue Merfolk creature tokens equal to the amount of mana spent to cast that spell. And we were talking about how it would be pretty easy and great to cheat if it were the mana value of that spell. But since it actually does count the amount that you spent to cast it, seems kind of hard to cheat.
Yeah, the legendary clones will let you at least double it, but that's still not... means that, okay, I spent 5 mana and now I get 10 bird for Merfolk.
Mm-hmm. So we're talking about like Spark Double, so you have a copy of it that isn't legendary. And I'm making the ruling here, I believe that if you have 2 Grandmother Gobi effects, you cast a non-creature spell, they will both trigger. One of it will counter it and make a bunch of Merfolk. The other one, since it doesn't target, will still try to do all of its effect. It will fail to counter the spell, but it'll still make the tokens because it doesn't say target and lose the target, and it doesn't say if that spell is countered, then do the thing. So I think that you would get double the number of Merfolk, but even then...
still not great.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to pump them up after you have the commander out. Could, do Merfolk Lords, and...
Compare her to Namor the Submariner, where for 1 and double blue, it's a mutant Merfolk villain. He's a star 4 with flying. His power is equal to the number of Merfolk you control, and whenever you cast a non-creature spell with 1 or more blue mana symbols in its cost, create that many 1/1 blue Merfolk creature tokens.
Yep.
So this costs a little bit less.
Probably is making you almost as many 1/1s.
Yeah, it has flying, and his power grows.
Commander.
Yeah, I think that this is a significantly better commander. But in both cases, like you would in most Merfolk decks, I think you play all of the Merfolk Lords. And for those who don't know, Lords are generally creatures that say, for this creature type, all of yours get +1/+1. And Merfolk probably have the most of those of any creature type. Even though +1/+1 to all of your creatures is usually like a white or a green thing, Merfolk, for some reason, they've got like 8 Lords, and any one of those makes this an army of 2/2s, which starts to get better. But I think that it's pretty clear that she's going to be better in the 99.
Yeah, when it's potentially a good option to give your commander away to someone else to hurt them, then it's not the best commander in the world.
Oh yeah, actually, wait a second. Do I need to take it back? Because better in the 99, but she's countering your non-creature spells. So,
Harder to fewer decks that she's good
That's the other thing. With Namor, you
Doesn't
get
count.
your spell and Merfolk.
Yep.
With Grandmother Gobi, you get your spell... Sorry, actually, you don't get your spell. You get the Merfolk instead of your spell. So, that is... If you don't build... Oh, right. Okay, if you don't build around it, that's going to actually hurt you. Maybe you don't want her in the 99.
Yeah.
So actually, maybe she is only worthwhile as a commander where you can build around the countering thing with stuff like Boseiju, who shelters all. I apologize, it's a little smoky in this part of the world right now.
Yep.
But Boseiju, who shelters all, says blah blah blah, make mana. If that mana is spent on instant or sorcery, that spell can't be countered. And as we said before, Grandmother Gobi does not require the spell to actually be countered in order to make the Merfolk. So as long as you're willing to use this, your instants and sorceries now, you get to resolve them and you get Merfolk. So I'm actually thinking that I think I have to put her at the bottom of questionable, because this is a pretty tough commander to work around. But if you can find more things like Boseiju or... there is another blue commander that just says spells can't be countered. I can't remember what that one's called, but I think that she's only good as a commander, actually, and bordering on maybe lame, but you could maybe do it.
And, I mean, she comes with a little bit of protection. If your spells are better than the Merfolk, then people won't remove her.
Yeah, and maybe you can find some spells that, like, maybe you can be goofy with it and cast some spells that would be pretty bad normally, but they turn into a bunch of merfolk, and that's the goof.
Or just really evil, salty spells.
You know what? X spells are probably going to be your best friend, because then you don't care what the effect of the spell is, you just want to tap out for it. And by the way, I'm thinking that we will maybe make this a two-parter here, and I'm thinking maybe we just finish the line.
Sure.
So, because I have quite a bit to say about a lot of these, and you have a fair bit. These are all designed for Commander, so these aren't things that you can easily just dismiss necessarily. But Greensleeves, I know that I've seen references to them before. I'm going to take a quick peek at Greensleeves. I knew that we already... Okay, wow, there's a lot of lore here. Oh, no. I don't know any of this. Is she from, like, the comics, or confronted by Sparrowhawk? What the... Okay, I knew that she was... No, not that card. I knew that she was represented on Greensleeves Marrow Sorcerer, where for some reason she makes a badger. When a land enters, she makes a badger, and she has protection from planeswalkers and wizards. And her power and toughness are equal to a number of lands you control. So I knew, but I don't really know what her deal is. This is from Dominaria United Commander, so I don't know. Okay, maybe you do the extra research, but she's looking more human here. So maybe there was a phase where she was not human and a phase where she was, and I don't know the order that happens. In any case, she's 4 and double green for a 5 loyalty commander that can, or planeswalker that can be your commander. +2, hey, she creates a giant badger token. It's 1 and double green for a 2/2 badger creature with whenever this token blocks, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Gosh, that's not particularly good, is it? Oh, but giant badger, the Wizard Greensleeves called a giant badger to her aid in an battle with the Desert Mage Carly. Okay, and yeah, I have this copy of Giant Badger. This was a Harper Prism Books promo where this is one of the first cards that you could not find in a Magic set. You had to actually send in a little card that came with a book, and then they would mail you back the Giant Badger. And they did this like 4 times. And I had all of them at one point. One of them, though, was a card called Mana Crypt, which you may have heard of. Kind of strong, banned in Commander. But you'll notice that the first printing of it is with this little pen, because you had to mail off for it because it was a Harper Prism book promo. And that's one of the reasons why it was incredibly expensive for a long time. They reprinted it a few times, so the price came down a bit, but still. All right. Back on topic here. But yeah, I got distracted by the giant badger token. And okay, so she was probably from that Harper Prism book. Anyway, she has -3 mill 3 cards. Put all permanent cards from among them into your hand. Oh, okay. And then -8, until end of turn, creatures you control have base power, toughness, 8/8, and gain trample. Okay. What do you think?
So, mono green, that hurts it, but mono green can stand alone better than most colors.
Okay, yeah.
Drawing maybe 3 cards a turn. And then has a fairly decent finisher. Giving trample is nice. I guess it hurts your opportunity cost a little bit if your creatures are stompy already.
Oh.
Then you only get them up to 8/8. If it's +1/+1 counters or something, then yeah, icing. But that's not the biggest pump in the world, but still potentially. Doesn't take 12-ish, to be lethal.
You've got a bunch of badgers.
Yep. So yeah, it makes a deck that makes itself pretty easily. If you enjoy mono green stompy, and you don't want to play a creature as your commander while being mono green stompy, here's a way to do that. Not super exciting to me, but many people like that.
I want to put her kind of maybe at the top of questionable, in part because it seems straightforward enough that you could build a simple green deck that, you could just play this for 6, make a badger. Next turn, make another badger. Next turn, make all your creatures 8/8 tramplers and maybe kill a player or maybe even every player. As long as up until that point you were playing elves and you treat this like your crater hoof that you telegraph for 2 turns.
Yep.
Or maybe you've got doubling season in your deck and it enters with plenty of counters on it and you make everything go crazy immediately. That's not terribly interesting to me. Unless you do actually go with some kind of yes, I am making badgers and all of... I don't know. This doesn't seem particularly inspired, and 6 mana before your commander does anything is kind of a long time. Even in mono green, you can get this out a turn or 2 faster consistently, sure. But then you're, making a badger, or I don't know. It's not particularly interesting, but clearly it could work. Yep. So maybe I should put it in high potential, but also I think a Planeswalker is pretty easy to beat up and to come out slow, and most other green commanders are going to be kind of stronger earlier. So, let's move past it here to, I think this is going to be the last one we'll do in this video. This is Grizzlegom Heirloom Hero, which it looks like they've just defeated a Phyrexian. Old school Phyrexian, though, ones that are mostly metal. And Heirloom is a place on Dominaria. Heirloom Minotaur is one of the original kind of mascots of Magic the Gathering. This guy's face was very much iconic, even though, a 3-mana 2/3 is nothing to write home about. But Minotaurs were a popular tribe way before they were good, and they're still not really good. But you can play Didgeridoo Didgeridoo from Homelands. This is a pretty popular card for just Minotaur decks because you can pay 3 to instantly put a Minotaur from your hand onto the battlefield. Grizzlegom's a Minotaur. They don't directly interact. You can put more Minotaurs in there. I don't know. But I'm just saying, lore-wise, Herloon was a place on Dominaria, and I believe they did get attacked by Phyrexians during Invasion Block, and so this guy probably messed some of them up. Okay, so he's 5, a green and a red, so 7 mana for a 4/4. Off to a bad start, but he's got the crazy Rule Breaker ability, which this is our first Rule Breaker ability we've seen today, right?
Yep.
So Rule Breaker ability specifically means that it applies like all the time, even during deck building, and it violates one of the rules of Commander deck building, in that a deck with this commander can have any lands, any land cards. And whenever Grizzlegom attacks, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token for each plains you control. Draw a card for each island you control. Each opponent loses 1 life for each swamp you control. Put a +1/+1 counter on Grizzlegom for each mountain you control, and you gain 1 life for each forest you control. Notably, before we get into strategy here, I did have some people who were not as experienced with Commander asking online, what does it even mean that you can play any land cards in your deck? I thought lands were colorless, which is something that you have to explain to some people, that that in fact forest is not a green card. But to this person, you have to explain kind of the opposite, which is that in Commander deck building rules, you can't have a card that has that colored mana symbol anywhere on it except in reminder text. That will cover most lands, but also I believe they do normally say that you can't play basic land types that don't match the color identity of your commander. So you cannot play a basic forest in a blue deck, for instance. So this does allow you to not only play islands, plains, and swamps in your deck, but also any land. You normally would not be able to play a land.
A lot of the utility,
Like
the modal bounce spell lands, a lot of those would be nice in this deck.
Triomes you can play in this deck and you wouldn't normally be able to. In fact, this deck I would definitely recommend playing like 10 Triomes.
Anything with the multiple of the basic land types. Yep, wonderful.
Yeah.
And there's at least like one with like an anything counter land and some stuff that gives them more land types. That would be useful.
Yeah, what the heck is it called? I'll figure it
It'll
out.
be on EDH Rack in a week.
Yeah. I remember that there's a green horror. Come on. Search. What is it called? It's from there. This thing, Overlord of the Hauntwoods. Whenever this permanent enters or attacks, create a tapped colorless land token named everywhere that is every basic land type.
Yep.
Put this in the deck for sure, 100%. There's also there's an enchantment that makes all of your lands all basic land types. It's like 2 mana or something. I haven't seen it played in a long time, but it would be great in here.
Yep.
And your commander costs 7, which normally would be a bad thing. But since your deck is going to be really focused on searching for and playing additional lands, I think that you could easily play the first few turns just setting up by searching for all kinds of lands, play extra land deck, and then when you get to 7 is just when you get started. And unlike most decks that have some ramp in it, the ramp after your commander is still going to be very useful because it's an attack trigger, so it can happen multiple times.
Yep. I'm not sure ratio-wise which you want to lean more into. I guess drawing cards for islands is probably better than gaining 1 life per forest.
Yeah, forest is definitely the weakest. The strongest is probably the island effect of drawing cards. Each opponent losing 1 life is quite good, and making a bunch of white soldiers is quite good. So I think they did kind of smartly make it so that the red and green things are weaker than the other colors. Yeah. So you have to go out of your way in order to get the best effects.
Valid, and there's the one green land and the one black land that make everything that basic land type. The all
Oh,
lands are swamps, all
Urborg and
lands are forests.
Yavimaya. Yeah,
And
for sure.
that's just
Urborg, Tomb
poof.
of Yawgmoth. Ta-da! All lands are swamps, in addition to the other types, so they can still tap for whatever.
And that's just,
or black.
oh, I play that for my land drop. I swing, and now I'm doing 7 or 10 damage to everyone. And that's a big kick up in power.
Yeah.
You have an extra combat, and then suddenly people are half dead.
Giving this guy haste might be huge, actually.
Yeah.
Because if you just play this guy and pass the turn, people are going to be like, oh no!
So that you have how many swamps and how many islands, and die.
Because he only does something when he attacks.
But
so,
lots of haste in
of course,
red-green.
you have access to all the haste enablers you could possibly want. Just make sure to include enough of them that you have one before you get Grizzlegom, because otherwise I got a feeling Grizzlegom is going to be like public enemy number 1, even to the point where if you are doing a good job playing your, like, all your stuff is all land types or something, then people will be trying to maybe counter it.
Yeah.
Maybe save a removal spell when you get close to 7 mana.
And if you're aiming for a lower bracket, don't include those 5 or so cards that make him much, much more lethal. And make it a more fair 2 or 3.
I'm not sure that I really see that as an option, honestly. Because the only way to build Grizzlegom is to try to get the most lands with the most land types. And then to hamstring yourself by just, like, not playing Urborg. I don't see the clear line between, like, oh, my deck is bad at doing the only thing it's supposed to do versus my deck is kind of good at it. It's not like playing Urborg is an instant kill. It just makes it so instead of them losing 2 life, they lose, 6.
Well,
Or something,
7 at
maybe
least.
7. That's
probably,
if you're doing it right. Yeah, it should be like 7. But still, I think that if you would do a cutback for, like, not playing Urborg or something for power, I think you're kind of doing it wrong. I think that you should try to build something powerful with it. And good luck to you. I think that this is probably going to be around here. Because I think that this could be a pretty interesting deck. It could be a tough build and require, so many expensive lands.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know what, that could be, maybe the power level thing is, are you playing the original duels that you might have to proxy or otherwise pay like $500+ for each of the 10? Or do you play the surveil lands? You obviously play the triomes. Yeah, so there's a lot of versatility in there, and I think this is pretty cool. And I think that creates a good stopping point for us for now, because we still have... okay, there we go. We still have that many? Okay, I've been talking too much about these, maybe. I was hoping that anyone who's interested in this set might also be interested in, hey, if you're going to build, Chief Magistrate of Mercadia, maybe you want to know a little bit about Chief Magistrate of Mercadia, because none of the videos that I'm seeing people put out there about these cards so far are both comprehensive and include lore along with the strategy. So you're getting that here. Plus, I've been a Vorthos the whole time. So, with that said, I think we're going to take a little break here, and we'll catch you in the next one.